So earlier in the week, I did a video talking about the Halo Master Chief Collection getting a massive, massive overhaul to the firefight mode, particularly the Halo 3 ODST custom firefight. Specifically, they added in a Flood variant, which I gotta admit, by the way, I wasn't a big fan of Halo 3 ODST. I played it, but I didn't really enjoy it. I thought the story was definitely kind of B tier to some of the other stuff. And it wasn't just because I'm a Master Chief purist, by the way. I really do like Spartan Buck and Veronica Dare, and reading about their adventures in the expanded universe, particularly in Bad Blood. I thought that was a phenomenal book, by the way. Little shout out for a good book to read if you're looking for something fun. But I thought overall Halo 3 ODST was just kind of so different from the main kind of Halo game. It didn't really resonate with me. But I always liked Firefight. I thought it was an interesting idea where you're basically put in some sort of small arena, and it's kind of like Horde mode, right? Just facing waves and waves and waves of enemies and trying to stay alive for as long as you can, and just that kind of almost felt like that nail-biting action that constantly made Halo fun, where you're running around and the combat's just so silky smooth, and it's beautiful, and it runs well, and, having Jeff Seitzer yelling out Ultra Kill and Mega Kill and all these cool things, and just having a lot of fun playing. I always enjoyed it. So seeing that it kind of got a slight resurrection here with the inclusion of the Horde mode with the Flood Horde mode, I guess I'll call it. I like it. It's cool. So what makes this mode interesting to me, and I've played a lot of these types of games where it's you versus the world, holding off, waves and waves of enemies for as long as possible. I mean, we've seen it in Left 4 Dead, we've seen it in Back 4 Blood, we've seen it in so many games where you're required to, basically, usually it's against zombies, right? Because they're kind of easy to animate and they're mindless and stupid. You don't really have to have much of a major plot device there, which I guess you could argue the Flood is kind of like that. But anyways, we've seen this kind of thing before. Now this is just the Halo version of it. What makes the Flood such an interesting opponent to me is that they are so relentless, and they do have the ability to overwhelm you very, very rapidly. Now, in the gameplay footage that I've recorded for you guys here, I didn't really get the sense of that as much, and I debated if I wanted to re-record it to get perfect footage for you guys. But I thought about it, and I was like, well, this is actually pretty indicative of what you could expect in a game. Not every game is going to be nail-biting, pulse-pounding, non-stop action. I wish it was, and I'm sure if you increase the difficulty or some of the extensive modifiers that are available to you, it may start to feel that way. This particular map, as well as kind of what they can call their open world map, and obviously it's not very open world, it's just a large outdoor arena. But in this mode, since the map is a lot bigger and there's significant room to walk around and lots of corridors, or rather lack of corridors, it's easy to kind of find pockets of the map where not a lot's happening. There are other maps that are significantly smaller, much more close quarters. That actually says it in their description. Those maps are going to give you probably what I'm more used to of running and gunning nonstop, dropping weapons, freaking out. I wanted to play this mode specifically because I wanted to play around with the Sergeant Johnson skin, honestly, and I wanted to see what it would look like to see him in a vehicle. So you get a little bit of a treat here with Sergeant Johnson manning the Ghost as opposed to, random rookie ODST guy, which is fun. And sometimes you'll see Sergeant Johnson's trademark hat and cigars in the shadows as if you look closely in some of the gameplay scenes here. But yeah, I gotta say though, going back to kind of my original point, there are definitely times in this game where I'm like, where is everybody? And I'm kind of aimlessly walking around just waiting for somebody to shoot at me or for something to happen. I'm gonna say it's probably because the game is quite dated, and the AI, while somewhat relentless at times, is also kind of dumb. I see them get stuck on geometry quite a bit. They seem to just kind of aimlessly wander until you get inside their kind of aggro box, where they're like, oh yeah, I guess I have to go fight this guy. But if you kind of look off in the distance, you'll see enemies literally just standing there, just kind of like, yeah, I'm cool. And I feel like one of the things that this mode probably could have done a little bit better on is perfecting that kind of defense mode where the AI was like almost essentially programmed to walk to a certain point. You see that a lot in games. Reach had that. I thought that was done incredibly well. Where, okay, basically, you know, they're going to try to blow up a gate or a device or some widget somewhere, and you have to defend it. And that's what keeps the action going continuously, because the AI is going to, you know, mindlessly march towards something. Here, if you could find a place to hide in the corner, while it's not going to net you a score, and let's be honest, you're playing this because you want a high score, you could stay alive infinitely if that was something that was of importance to you, because the AI just won't bother you at all. It also gives you an opportunity to go check out some of the weapon racks and some of the resupplies that drop in after every clear to kind of gear up before the next fight, as opposed to the more hectic running and scavenging that you're probably used to in a game like Left 4 Dead, which I think did that phenomenally well, where you were just always out of ammo, always out of health, one bullet away from death, you know, like that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind as you play through this. But it's still fun, and I suspect it's, you know, it's still, I guess I'll just say it's still fun. I suspect if you played with more people, you would have your own fun anyway, and it may not matter as much. The Flood themselves are notorious enemies, obviously, just within Halo lore. But here they have, you know, they spawn with pretty much any weapon, which is cool. They've added this light fog of war, which you really don't see too much on this particular map, but some of the other ones you definitely will see. There's fog of war that makes it a little more, you know, creepy to kind of walk around. You do have that visor button, which you see me toggle. It puts a light hue on everything. It also outlines key enemies and weapon drops and that sort of thing. So if you're really struggling on where to go or what to pick up, you can toggle that on or off, you know, as you need to kind of see where everything is around you. The Flood themselves, like I said, they spawn with any weapon. So you might get, you know, UNSC weapons, you might get Covenant weapons, you might get, you know, kind of like brutish type things. They're all there. And that's cool. You just don't know what each encounter is going to be. Obviously, the ones with the rocket launcher, while are awesome for you if you can score one, like me here, getting a couple great rocket drops in a row, sometimes are incredibly aggravating because you'll just get blast sniped by a rocket halfway across the map without any real, you know, warning about it. There's not a whole lot you can do. So there are times where the AI is like, oh, are you kidding me? So keep that in mind. They do a good enough method of the old Halo games as well, of trying to jump out of the way when you're screaming at them at a ghost or getting ready to hit them with a rocket or a grenade. They try to jump out of the way to avoid some damage, which is nice. They're not that mindless. Some of them, like these guys here, are absolute bullet sponges. I think I run dry multiple times fighting these guys. They are definitely a menace. And if you're playing on a close quarter map and a pack of these spawn and you're low on ammo, that's pretty much going to spell death. Speaking of death, you do have a number of lives, so you don't necessarily. That was a good grenade throw. You don't necessarily have to worry about if you die, and you'll get a couple chances. Every so often, you'll get a reinforcements round, which basically will drop in 2 additional NPCs to help you. They are cool as heck if you have a vehicle for them to assist you with, like a warthog or something. But outside of that, they are totally worthless. What makes it funny and kind of horrifying in a creepy way is that the Flood love to overthrow people and galaxies by constantly cloning and manipulating themselves. So there are times that your teammates will suddenly become your opponents, which is kind of cool. So a Marine standing next to you, fighting, shooting, screaming, dying, 5 seconds later is suddenly your opponent, which is kind of cool. So they did a good job of it there. They commandeer vehicles, and they're aggressive when they need to be. I think that's what probably makes it more fun than the traditional firefight mode, because at least here the threat is constant. As we're in some of the other modes, once you kill an enemy, they're dead, that's it. The Flood seems to have this infinite 9 lives where they constantly swarm, and the spawns just kind of, you know, could stack out of control very rapidly. And I think that is probably the best thing about this, is that, you know, no two games will play alike. If you want to be one of those guys that sits on the periphery and shoots with a ghost or, you know, a high power weapon, you'll probably be just fine. But I think there's fun here if you want to have it. The other addition here, I won't say really an addition, but something to kind of keep the game fresh, is you see on the left-hand side all of the modifiers, which do change as waves increase. They will give you different abilities. Well, I shouldn't say abilities, they're different hindrances. Different skulls like tough luck or no radar, or, you know, different things out there that are going to force you to play a little differently. And you will start to get overwhelmed as time goes on. The enemies will continue to appear in numbers. They will appear with stronger, more powerful weapons, stronger, more powerful vehicles, and the skulls will just eventually start to become a little bit overwhelming, to the part that you eventually will probably kind of succumb to the death. You know, you'll just get overrun. But there are so many different maps to play, and all the different modifiers, and now that they have this cross-play and the matchmaking, I had no issue. I'm playing by myself here just so I can kind of control the narrative a little bit. But, you know, if you wanted to play with somebody right now, it's incredibly easy to find a match because everybody's checking it out. And the State of Infinite isn't in the best place right now, so if you're looking for something that's kind of fresh and fun, and you haven't quite yet collected all of those really cool mythic helmets and armor sets from Season 8, this is a great place to get through your dailies and grind a little bit and have some fun and earn some tokens along the way so you can start upgrading your character as you want. I'll say that the ODST customization was never that great. You're basically just selecting weapon skins, or character skins rather. So you have like Mickey, you have Veronica Dare, you have the obviously Chief. That's what I'm playing with now, which is just so cool, right? Come on, or I'm sorry, Sergeant Johnson. How cool is that, right? Actually, I don't think Master Chief is in it now that I think about it. I know Sergeant Johnson, obviously. You got the Rookie, you got Buck. You know, it's just, there's not a whole lot there. You can't really change colors that do a whole lot, or any fun, cool, like, cosmetic-y stuff. Maybe they'll add that later. I don't know. But that's okay. I think you're going to have enough fun playing with this. So I just wanted to put a little video out talking about it, showing some gameplay, saying it does exist. It is fun. It is real. If you have the Master Chief Collection, because you most likely have Game Pass, the answer is probably yes. This is definitely one to at least install the update and play a few rounds. I think you'll have some fun with it. Maybe it'll get you back into Halo. If it is, that's great. Look me up. I'd love to play with you. I'm always playing this game, whether it's Infinite or Master Chief Collection. I'm just a huge Halo fan, so I feel like the best thing I could do is play some gameplay and give you guys some honest impressions on it. But that'll wrap up today's video. I hope you found it interesting and informative. Get out there, play some Halo. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.